and welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Kyle, and we're the fucking Morning Throners.
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners, and we got Danny 3 on deck. What's going on, gentlemen?
Not much. Kyle, let's get the summary and thoughts.
I mean, so I was right, but at the same time, that wasn't like, I feel like that wasn't the best prediction, or not the best prediction, like the most outlandish.
I don't remember what his prediction was. Was it kill everybody?
Yeah, it was like she's
I think you were pretty right. I'm pretty sure going into the spoiler section last time, Jeff was like, I think this was Kyle's best chapter. After Danny 2, I think Jeff was like, this is Kyle's best chapter ever. Because you pretty much said, like, she's not going to let this, like, slavery thing fly, but she is going to take the slaves. In that chapter, we were kind of toying. I think we were talking about the fact, like, and you even said, like, it doesn't make sense that they would sell 8,000 and not keep at least 8,000 back.
Yeah, how would you sell literally your entire standing army to somebody else? Like, why would you do that?
We were talking about that in the last Danny chapter. That doesn't make sense. And I think you were saying that I'm assuming that they have at least 8,000, an equal amount held back to defend themselves. We find out that not really.
Yeah, it was those fake demon monster masked ones, right?
Exactly. The slave, like the guards who don't even have actual armor on. They're wearing like skirts
or whatever they were. Yeah, they weren't.
Yeah,
not actually beefy. They weren't anything like the Unsullied, but they didn't even really need the Unsullied, right?
No,
it was just the dragons.
Didn't seem like it.
They just needed the Unsullied to not do anything.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
yeah, pretty much.
And so she took control. Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah,
but like I said, I didn't think that was that outlandish of a prediction, though. Like I feel like that was on brand 100% with her. And I think we talked about this last time. Like she's freed slaves before. That was like always her thing. And like so, I mean, I don't know. To me, it seemed like this was coming. So
yeah, she hasn't been like, this hasn't been like her main goal is like freeing slaves, but she's been anti-slavery the whole time. She was a slave. We talked about it last time. She was a slave, and then the one time when the Dothraki do sack that town, when she's there, she's like trying to save all the slaves she can, and she even talks about some of them here.
Yeah,
but
Nels, just real quick on the show differences. The Unsullied do pretty much everything.
Yeah, she like basically says like. Well, I think it just cuts, right? She does give him a command at the very end of the chapter, right before the chapter cuts.
Yeah, kill all the masters, which is basically what we see.
I think the show just rolls for a little bit, and just actually watches the Unsullied start killing people. But yeah, I think it's pretty much the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, and just a little bit different with Drogon, but pretty much the same.
Yeah. So, Kyle, what'd you think?
I thought it was pretty good. Like I said, I mean, I don't know. I felt like I was reading what I was expecting to read, though. Yeah. So it's kind of like one of those, like, all right. It was a little like, especially once it was like, all right, fuck it, I'll give you Drogon. And like it was like, all right, you knew it was
too easy of a Drogon give up.
Yeah, there's no way that she was gonna give him up like that. And in general, right? Like, plus everybody's like, he's worth way more than that.
Yeah, I feel like there's kind of like I don't even know if you call it foreshadowing when it's this close, but like
it's laying on thick
throughout the whole chapter. It kind of makes it obvious even before you know what's happening. Even like the very first line, Danny's like, "I'll take them all." And it's like, they were confused by what she meant. And she's like, Danny thinks to herself, like, I must have them all. And kind of to what we were saying last chapter, like, if you don't have them all, then there's some reserve left to fight against you. I think, which is why, again, like, it's not spelled out here in this first line, but that's, again, in my head, that's what Danny's thinking. And even in the last chapter, there was actually a point, I think I brought up to Jeff in the spoiler section, where she's like, I would either have all of them or I have none of them, is what Danny was saying, even in the last Danny chapter.
Yeah.
Which makes me, I think I brought up at last chapter in the spoiler section, like, was Danny already considering this, like,
for sure
action back then? Yeah.
I do think it's two-sided, though, too. I think she needs them all for the wars to come as well.
Yeah.
But
when I think it's if you're going to take your own moral, essentially, and buy slaves, right, and break your moral, you might as well fucking buy them all. Is kind of where she was
in
at.
for a penny, in for a pound type thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, I think that was kind of where she was at with that. You want to say it's two things. Like, I think that's kind of part of. It's like, well, if I'm gonna buy one, I might as well just get them all. So, yeah, I mean, it starts with them in their kind of negotiating, right?
Yep.
And
so this is
it's
cool.
Kind of right back to where we kind of ended the last one. She was back in front of 8 masters, who are the biggest.
But here, she's in. I don't know if they ever flat out say it, but like, yeah, the top room of a pyramid. This is one in the show where I think they have this conversation, and again, it's just like in the plaza where they had like the other conversation. I think this is like a really cool setting, like in the top of a pyramid. she even talks about how the walls are triangles and they have like stained glass windows. So they're in the very top pointy room of a pyramid that has terraces out because it's a step pyramid, right? So it's not like smooth. So you can go out onto like a balcony outside the room because it's a step pyramid. And like, I don't know. And like they got all these stained glass windows. I feel like it'd just be a badass like throne room, like or I guess it's not a throne room, but like a room
penthouse.
for like penthouse.
Fire.
It's like an old school penthouse. Also, I didn't think about it like this, but reading this chapter and then I looked up some fan art. I feel like Astapor is all pyramids, like all step pyramids. Like there's no houses, like it's just small pyramids. It's like what lines the roads. Because when Dany's walking the army in, she says that.
How do you know that fan art is right though?
Well, the reason I looked it up is when Dany's like walking in at the very end, she says like, "Oh, it was way more crowded than before because people wanted to come out to see the dragons. The road was crowded with like servants and slaves, and all the masters looked on from the terraces of their step pyramids." Which makes me think like it's not like there's like 3 pyramids and then that's who's watching. It's like she's talking about like what's lining the street that she's walking down. And when I looked up fan art, you get like small pyramids along the streets and then the big pyramids for like the grandmasters. So yeah,
some of them are just one step.
Yeah, exactly. Like one step and then a tip. I mean, for real, that's all you would need. It's like
it's just called a house then.
No, not if the inside walls are slanted.
All right, let's move on. All right, so she's in front of these 8 masters, and she wants all of them. We mentioned that. She wants all of them, the 8,000, the 600 that are close to being done, their training, and then even the kids that are, even the babies holding the dogs. So, like, she wants everything that would have been in Unsullied, right?
Yeah. This is one of the ones where I really don't like at least taking notes the way that this like first couple pages is written because like they give information about the people like sporadically throughout. So I'm just going to give like I'd probably jumping around a little bit, but I'm going to give like a little dump here, right? So we got these 8 people. I
was just going to ask, what's a century? Sorry, because like
hundreds, like she counting by thousands and counting by hundreds. So it was 8.
Okay, well you said there was the 600 people that weren't quite ready.
No, it was 8,000 Unsullied, and then 6 centuries that would make the next 1,000 once like there's 400 more ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
Later, Dany says there's 5,000 when she gets to the plaza. There's 8,600 with caps and 5,000 more without caps. So there's 5,000 still in training, which is like considerable. Again, that ranges from almost about to graduate to cut yesterday. But yeah, it's a lot of trainees. But yeah, so I'm just gonna give a quick info about like the masters. So there's 8 of them. Again, Dany says that like 4 of them all are named Grazdan, probably because there's like Grazdan the Great.
It's like Aegon, right? Aegon to the
exactly the guy who founded Olgis. She says they all look alike: thick, fleshy men with amber skin, broad noses, dark eyes. Their wiry hair was black or dark red, a queer mixture of red and black that was peculiar to the Discari. And then she's talking about like what they're wearing. They're all wearing these tokars, which is like, again, we kind of heard about this last time, like a fancy robe type thing. And I think in the last Dany chapter she says like it actually requires you to like hold a piece of it or else like it'll fall down. She remarks on that a few times later.
It's like wrapped around you, and then like kind of how like you ever see like girls have like a little like ring on the end of a dress to like keep it up while you're walking, like you hold the train up.
Yeah, okay. I guess that makes sense. I didn't think about it like that, but that's probably right.
But so I'm envisioning it like wrapping around them, and then like they're like holding it, but like it's here instead of like holding the train. You're holding like the cross of the robe or something like that.
Gotcha. Like the train makes sense because I always picture these guys kind of dressed like Romans. Like again, at least like what we see like in the movies and like for Romans where it's like a robe. Like I'm sure they didn't wear robes all the time, but like
they were all, what I mean, belt tied and shit. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. These guys didn't invent the belt or the lash of leather or something. They couldn't just clip these together.
Well, Dany's wearing a belt, but Dany in the last chapter actually says the tokar is a sign of royalty, and the fact that you have to hold it is a sign that you don't have to do other stuff.
Okay.
You have slaves holding other shit for you.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I don't remember that, but I don't remember that sentence. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's rocking one too.
I think this is interesting because she dresses.
She's wearing
she dresses different to these 2 meetings. Yes, this one she's dressed like Carthene, which the left tits out. Right. Yeah, and then later when she goes to get the Unsullied, she dresses like a Dothraki, which is kind of badass, I think. So yeah, what's up with these tokars? There's like another interesting thing that she mentions about them.
There's different fringes on them.
Yeah, it's like your graduation cap and robe accessories. You get a different collar. I didn't even think about it.
High school to doctorate.
Yeah,
but this one's for like richness. Yeah, the class, how much you are, and it's silver, gold, and pearl.
Was it richness or was it like? I kind of thought it was like respect too. Like
blood.
Obviously the one guy
old blood.
I think it's richness. I feel like
Well, like it said, like the oldest guy is the one with the pearls. So, like, did he just live long enough to become the richest one?
Maybe.
I think these guys seem to be all about who's in charge and money and like showing your wealth. So
what you're saying makes sense, Jeff, but I think I agree with Kyle on this one. Just to the fact that at least in this society, wealth and like respect are the same thing.
Sure. What I'm saying is that guy's the oldest, so he's probably earned the most. I mean, Kraz is the one that's doing most of the talking. Why isn't the pearl guy doing most of the talking?
That's true.
So
out of this crew, there was 2 that had silver, 5 that had gold, and only the old Grasden was the one that had the pearls.
Clacky pearls. That seems annoying as shit.
It does sound bad.
So pretty much she's still going through the intermediary, right? Like she's not played that hand.
Yeah, yep. They're translating. I think that's the great reveal to it all later on, obviously. But I thought it was a great reveal.
Yeah.
But while she's listening to them, they're arguing about whether they should sell all of them or not. And one guy's all about the money, and one guy is like, no, they have a reputation to uphold.
Yeah, like what happens if somebody comes and wants to buy more like tomorrow, and the one guy says, money in my purse is better than money in my future,
is true,
which
right?
I think
like
is a good line.
If you're
Stores have limits on how many you can buy, though, and that has to just be for the reason to keep other customers satisfied. Right? There's no other reason for stores to do that.
There's 2 things. No, that's not true. I think there's certain times stores sell out all the time. I'm saying,
so like if you when a PS5 dropped, if I wanted to go to Walmart and buy a PS5, there was probably a one
bullshit scalping and stuff like that, though. Like that's not just to make people happy. That's to prevent people from middlemaning.
Listen. If it's not to make people happy, what does Walmart care? Why does Walmart care if you want to come in and buy all 20 PS5s, then you want to rip everybody off? Or if I just want to sell them to 20 people? Because I want to keep my customers happy. I don't want to let the scalpers run them dry because they know that it was me who allowed, you know what I mean, who facilitated that. From Walmart's point of view, what's the point?
You are right there too, Nels. But there are also products that aren't. Now, I'll agree with you. On Sully, they're probably closer to a PS5 than, say, Monsters Inc. t-shirt, right, in the kids section, because like they don't give a shit if all the Monsters Inc. t-shirts go out. But there's also the point I think the other guy could have made was like there's a supply and demand sort of thing. Like, all right, if we lose them all, obviously we can't sell them, which isn't good. If we sell most of them and there's a limited amount now, there's now a higher demand for price, and you could sell them for more.
Like if Danny was going to turn around and try and sell them to somebody for 2 dragons, now she could because she's the only person that has them to sell, like type thing. Again, that's unrealistic.
She could
scalp
dragons. Them, is what you're saying.
Yeah, she could sell them for more. Yeah.
You're saying she could go put them on eBay.
I'm saying, say they only sell, say they sell the 8,000, and then they have the 600 remaining. The 600 remaining are now more valuable. They could because that's all that's left.
In theory, yeah. It doesn't sound like there's really a set price for them either, right?
Yeah, it's very haggly.
Yeah, I mean, Danny definitely throws off the market here.
Yeah, true. Anyway, long story short, she does kind of eventually get to like, no, I want them all to where they have to. So that's kind of what the whole conversation they're having is, right? Like, well, she's in a hard spot. She obviously wants them all. She's going to give us everything. Like, she'll give us anything we want.
Yep. Kraz is saying that he'll pay because she says I'll pay double. Well, I guess that gets into when like, yeah, I want all of them, but not only all of them.
Yeah,
and and the trainees.
Yeah, well,
the replacements.
Even before they start going to how much she's gonna pay, it's more so like, yeah, you can have all 8,600 if your gold is good.
Yeah.
So then they go into like, all right, and then you can come back in a year for 2,000. She's like, well, I'm not gonna be here. I'm going to Westeros. And she's like that. Then she's like, "I'll pay the same for the uncut. I'll pay for the babies that have their dogs." And then she offers double.
Yeah, I need because she's like, I need all of them, even the uncut ones, or yeah, even the trainees, basically the people who haven't got their steel caps yet or their bronze caps.
Which I mean, she gives them that BS. Like she's like, I'm gonna need to replace my swords when they fall. Essentially, like sure they're good, but eventually some of them will die, which is right. But I mean, she's just freeing slaves.
It's kind of to Jeff's point. It's like, yeah, that is true, and she is actually taking them to war. But I think the main thing here is she doesn't, and she knows that if she doesn't, then it's going to be 8,600 versus the 5,000 trainees, right?
I don't even think it's that.
That's who they're going to call up to defend them.
To your point though, Kyle, like she could, if she had this plan in place already, she could just take the 8,600, do her plan, and then just free all the slaves anyway. Like they're going to be.
But why not just do it right here? And then that's
the point. It's like she's just going to kill them all, so like the price doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think that That probably should be a red flag to the guys.
It should 100%.
Why is she just giving us a dragon when that's way more than anything?
They think they got one over on her, right? And that's like the whole kind of her talking common the whole time. Is they're like, tell this dumb whore, like, you know, like
they don't respect her at all.
Yeah, exactly. So they think they're just like completely fleecing her. And I mean, they should have seen it. You're right. I saw it coming, but they didn't know her.
One thing that I think is interesting is like, and I kind of forgot about it too. When she's walking in later, she mentioned she has 84 Dothraki. So like one thing that they're probably thinking that like it's hard for us to imagine is like she has nobody. She's literally like a little girl with like 4 knights and like 80 peasants. Like she's not like a threat. So like they're probably like, are they really? I get what you guys are saying. It doesn't make any sense. But just like she's a 15-year-old girl.
Why would you think anything of her?
They're not thinking that she's going to turn this army on them immediately.
Why should you be afraid of her? But she did have 3 dragons. So
I mean, for sure.
And 3 boats and like...
And like we learned last time, these Giscari people should know about dragons, right? Their whole history is we got shit on by the dragon people. Exactly, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about her payment. So like at first, before she's like, well, they tell her you only have enough for 1,000 with everything you have. You have enough for 1,000. If you're gonna pay double, then you only get 500. So,
which she's kind of like, that's bullshit. There's more than that, right? Mm-hmm. Like I feel like she could have bought more than that. I think they're here. They're already undercutting.
And I think that was just her goods and any gold or sapphires or whatnot. Because then she goes into offering the 3 ships, and that got her 2,000 at a generous price. They said, and then she offered a dragon, and that pricked their ears up.
And this is one of the things where I feel like they were probably hoping this, right? Going into this meeting, they were probably like saying amongst themselves, like in the meeting, they're like, all the slavers are like, all right, guys, lowballer, tell her she basically walks away with nothing unless we get one of the dragons. Like,
that's even here, that line that Jeff just mentioned. It is too much, but the good masters are being generous, and your need is being great. So they're like, we're really helping you out here.
Big
and they're probably already like, holy shit, we're making tons of money. Yeah,
exactly.
So I mean, I feel like you said, car salesman. Yeah.
Yep. So when she says that though, she hears like Jikwi, and Whitebeard is like, no,
which is perfect, right? And like she gets mad at Whitebeard later, but I feel like this is kind of like a positive for her case, right?
Nah, I don't know. It's very Godfather 1 when Sonny speaks up in front of when the Don's doing business with the Turk.
I see what Kyle's saying though, like
her own people aren't like, they're even freaking out. Like, oh my God, like they don't see that the plan.
It does show like, well, oh my God, what are you doing? Like you're being in it. Like this is too valuable. So like, that might be like, okay, but they know what a dragon is worth. It's not like it's
this situation, because it's a dragon, I think it's unneeded. But like if it was like money and she was like, fine, I'll pay you 100,000 golden dragons, and Whitebeard's like, no, then that tells you that like that kind of tells them, to Kyle's point, that like, okay, this is we're winning this argument right now. Sure. If she agrees to this, even her advisors think that she's getting robbed here, which means that we are robbing her. So I get that.
That, and just more of like that there's no ulterior motives, that these guys aren't all in on some plan. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like
good too. Yeah.
That's more what I meant, was like that there's not this uprising plan afterwards.
That we're gonna burn
like
them
these,
down
everybody's like, oh my God, like what is this? What is happening here? You know, like everybody's getting caught off guard. So
especially when you think back to what I said, like they're probably really underestimating her. They're like, wow, this stupid girl is making these choices. She has like wizened advisors here. I mean, Whitebeard's just an old squire, but she's like Jorah, Belwas, like these people are here. They're the ones who, like, who they would probably
squire. That's all we know he is.
They're the ones who would be like, you know what I'm saying? They, like, I feel like the slavers would take all these other people more serious, though. You know what I mean? It might be more afraid of that. Here, they're probably like, oh my God, what a stupid girl! I can't believe she just gave us these dragons. Yeah. She's not even listening to these like people who are trying to tell her how dumb she's being. Like, yeah, I think they pulled one over on her. Yep. So she basically has Jorah take him out. Get him out of here. Get him out of my sight.
Get this guy. Put him on the terrace. I'll talk to him later.
You must not do this thing. You must not presume to instruct me. She apologizes, and she's like, all right, cool, deal.
Yeah. But old man speaks up then.
Yeah, there is one that speaks common. And here he's like showing his hand.
Awful common tongue. I was like, I'm not reading this again, but
I'm just saying stupid. Like, at least do, like, Dany suspected that Kraz knew a little common, but was kind of playing the same game she is, right? This guy's just like showing his hand.
Sure, but it's not like Dany's going by like, oh look, I'm gonna fleece these motherfuckers and only.
But she could be
offer, but she doesn't, so it doesn't matter.
That's not the point, though. I see what you're saying, Nelson.
But the slave girl's there anyway. She could still translate. It's not like it's a secret.
You're right, and we said this. So in the last one, she said like to Whitebeard, she was like, "What do you think?" There was a point where like when they were looking at all the Unsullied, she's like, "What do you think?" And he's like, "I don't like it. This is a bad deal. Like you should get like free men, not slaves, to fight for you," type thing. And we even said there like, "Oh yeah, the slave girl's probably just going to go tell all the masters what he said later on." But that's to my point. Like, and in this one, the slave girl comes with her, so she couldn't have actually done that.
Whatever.
But that's my point. He plays. It's not a big point.
Littlest
but he
point
shows his
that
hand.
we've ever stuck on, and that's saying something. So the old man wants to pick the dragon, and he's like, "Oh, the Drogon's the biggest one. The black one's the biggest one, and we're gonna take the 3 ships too." But they end up taking everything on the 3 ships as well. Like once they go to show up. It made it so maybe I interpreted it wrong. It made it sound like it was just the dragon and the ships.
You interpreted it wrong. All your goods, save your crown and your queenly raiment, whatever that means.
Your clothes, I guess.
Which we will allow you to keep. The 3 ships and Drogon. So yeah, he says all your goods.
I think I took it as save your goods, basically, but yeah, I definitely read it.
No, save your crown, meaning like, because she didn't want to give that up because she refused to sell her crown. We skipped over that because Viserys sold his crown at one point, and she's like, "I can't do that again. That was the lowest moment of our life. We can't do that."
That's what made him like super sad. Yeah. One interesting thing about the crown too, we just skip over it, is they say like if you sell your crown, it'll get you another, like it doubles the amount she'll get. Like her crown is literally worth like as much as everything
might buy
else
another
she has.
Century. Your pretty crown might buy another century. Is what it says here.
All her goods got her. Oh, a century. Gotcha, a century. Yeah. My bad. I was thinking 1,000.
You're talking.
It's not that much.
What was our measurement miscalculations last time?
Oh yeah, to the wall. The wall. The league.
1,100 leagues or whatever.
I read that as 1,000 instead of 100. Yeah, that was bad.
The wall is 12 million miles long.
Yeah, so then we mentioned that she gets the translator as like a token of good faith. So now they go walking back, and she starts by giving Whitebeard some shit.
Well, yeah, he's like, "I want Drogon," and she's like, "Sure, take him." And I'm like, all right, like this is not.
Yeah, no haggling back on Dany's part.
Like he's not our favorite.
Yeah,
yeah, well, he's clearly the favorite. Yeah, and another thing that we kind of just glossed over there was he says, the reason he gives Missandei, is her name, the slave girl, is because the Unsullied don't know how to even speak the language. She's like, they'll learn your language in time, but for now you'll need the translator. We get her. So yeah, now she's with Dany now too. This little slave girl, Missandei. We don't find out her name right here, but she gets it in a little bit.
Yeah, and so now is when he's walking down Whitebeard and Dany are walking down the steps.
Yeah, so she gives him the Don the Sunny treatment, like never speak what you're saying outside of the family.
Yeah, I do think she's like pretty good about it. She's like, always say the truth to me, like never be afraid for that. Again, she had to scold him about this last chapter, kind of too, right? Like he said something and she snapped at him, and he's like, "I'm sorry if I offended," and she's like, "Honest counsel never offends me. Yeah. I'm sorry, I just have a temper sometimes. Like keep that coming." She's like, "I'll snap, but keep it coming."
I was gonna say, I don't know if that's a scolding.
Yeah.
Because it was like kind of explaining, like, I know I can be shitty in the heat. Yeah, but
yeah, basically, don't talk about the family outside the family.
Yep. But yeah, kind of to what you guys are saying, like, again, throughout the chapter, there's this whole, like, the mother dragon sold her strongest child, it's making her sick. Like, she's kind of, like, not easy. She doesn't feel good about what she's doing.
That's, like, the one kind of, like, oh, man, she's really beating herself up about selling Drogon, but it doesn't, like, why? Is she afraid that it's not going to go well type of thing? Is that why she's so worried? Because it goes pretty easily to plan later on, but basically before we get back to the ship, and we talk to Missandei, we just hear Whitebeard's again, like, this dragon's worth more than any army. Like, they already proved that you could win the crown based off of this dragon. Like, what are you thinking right now? Yeah,
he brings up the Field of Fire, which is, again, this battle that we've heard of a few times. I think we heard it specifically in this book. I think the Tyrells bringing up when they're talking to Sansa about how that's how they became, like, the Lords of the Reach, is because the prior Lords of the Reach got all burned up at the Field of Fire. I think the end of the Kneeling Man, Jaime talks about the Field of Fire a little bit because the Northern King was coming down to join the war, but he heard about all the other lords getting burned up at the Field of Fire, so he kneeled instead. So yeah, here we're kind of hearing about it from the person, like the ancestor. They're like, yo, this guy literally showed up and then just like took over the kingdom because of these dragons. Like, you don't want to lose that.
Yeah, like what do you do? Right? Like if you're that Northern King,
Neil.
Like, what is the right answer there? Yeah, Neil. Yeah, it's got to be right.
Absolutely. Okay. If you care about your life at all.
In the show, they would put out these like, I guess it was like behind the scenes footage that would be like actors from the show reading like sections of like lore. And the one I think is Ned. I think it was after season 1 or 2, but it was like Ned or Rob, the character for them, like reading something about like Torrhen, and they're like, yeah, people always laugh about Torrhen Stark as the king who knelt, but like all those Northerners walk back home alive. Like, so like they acknowledge like, yeah, we might get mocked at as like the one who knelt and like we didn't stand our ground, but they're all alive. Nobody died from the North when Aegon took over.
Okay.
Again, and that's not canon. That's like an actor reading something from a lore, probably written by a writer. But it seems like they're more proud of it. If you're making fun of that
guy, you're a fool. You just watch every other house burn. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, and it didn't sound like the Field of Fire. They didn't have much of a chance to bend after they already walked out on the field. So
yeah. Like, I bet you, like, in character, Bran right now would be like, oh, what a pussy. He should have fought, because Bran's, like, all about, like, hoorah, knights.
Bran's also
you know
what
12-year-old
stupid
But he's also 12. If by the time he turned 25, I would hope that Bran...
And he's the leader of people.
Sees it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so we move on to this conversation with Missandei, and the first thing that Dany does is ask her name in High Valyrian, which I think that's, like, the first reveal. I like the second reveal a little bit better. I mean, obviously, this one's kind of funny, too.
Oh, really? I missed it.
She lets us scroll in on it.
I thought there was a point where she talked to Missandei in High Valyrian. But
it's the very first thing she says to her. Do you have a name, or do you draw one for a barrel every day? From a barrel every day.
And then it says her eyes got wide, right?
Well, she answers. She says, "No, that's just the Unsullied." And then she's like, "Wait a second."
It's like,
you know,
what?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Like, yeah, I do have a name. It's Missandei.
Gotcha. I didn't catch that when I read it.
There's a YouTuber comes up on Reddit sometimes where he knows a polyglot, I guess, where he can learn languages pretty quickly, and like he just goes around like talking to people in Africa or China.
First time, he went to a totally like unconnected tribe and like did some crazy ass shit.
Yeah, and he like just starts pulling out like, I mean, he's not perfect, but well enough that the people are all like, "Oh my god, like you're one of us!" Like, the
videos that get him like views are like speaking perfect Chinese to get a free restaurant or free food in China type thing, right?
Yeah,
I think I've seen some of this. That's what Missandei looked like, is all those people from his videos.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, oh, what? Like, kind of sucks the air out of you for a second. But then she tells her name's Missandei, and she says your slave's name is Missandei, talking about herself. And Dany is like, this is when she starts her breaking the chains, right? She's like, nope, you're free. Don't ever think you're a slave again. You're welcome to come. Like you'll be right here with me. Like you got a pretty good spot, but you can also go home to your parents. Whatever you want to do.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And she's like, I ain't got no parents, so I'll chill here. I'll chill with you.
I mean, the other part is she says like, I can offer you freedom, but like not protection. Like this shit's gonna get bloody around me.
Yeah, like you're headed to war. Yeah. Like you saw what just happened, right? I just bought a bunch of warriors. Like you had to know where this is going.
She doesn't stutter though. She claps back with a nice High Valyrian saying.
Yeah, we get the first, right? The translation of Arya's.
Yep. Valar Morghulis.
All men must die.
All men must die, Dany agreed. But not for a long while, we may pray. So yeah, pretty interesting. That's what Arya's been like saying to herself, which is like kind of seemingly perfect, because I think she mostly says it to herself after she like lists off all these people that she hates. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Tran, the Mountain, like Cersei, Joffrey, Ilan Payne, all that. Valar Morghulis is how she's been ending it.
It also makes sense why
who it came from.
Whatever Jaqen said it when he killed the first guy.
Yep.
Like himself, and then became somebody else. It's kind of like the memento mori, right? Like we have that as in culture. That's a thing.
I don't know if it is. I don't know it. What are you saying?
It's like it's usually a tattoo. Memento mori, right? Morier.
What's it mean?
It's memento mori, and it means remember death. And it's a tattoo, pretty much, that people get. A lot of people get. If you ever see it in script or like a skull with like a banner over it, memento mori.
It's like in memory of somebody normally.
No. It usually remind yourself
death is
that
coming.
like yes, like everybody dies. Like it's like there is kind of.
So I thought about this a little bit today. Valar Morghulis then in the kind of same way. Like it's basically YOLO. Kind of,
yeah. Like it's
live in the moment. We're all gonna die.
It's like fuck it. Like I gotta die somehow. Like maybe this is it. And
it's kind of like how but it's kind of, again, we've only seen it like interpreted twice now, but that's not how Arya's taking it, right? It doesn't seem like
Does she even know how she's taking it?
I don't think so, but I guess like, but it's not how I guess Jack and like he's actually killing people and stuff like that. It seems like that's kind of
well,
what
that's
he's
what I was
about.
gonna say. Is it could be justification, right, for what they're doing. All men must die.
Oh, that makes sense.
Could also be kind of a it's them or me, right? This is or this is my job kind of thing.
Yeah,
like all men must die. Like he's gonna die eventually. It's just me doing it. I don't know.
I was gonna say it's kind of like the red comment and how like it could go different ways.
Yeah,
look at it. Like here,
100%.
It's going like like whatever, like the YOLO situation is kind of how Missandei is using it.
Yes.
Don't be scared of death. Just remember it exists. Is kind of back to my other point that I was making.
Yeah.
So yeah, obedient. Are they obedient?
Yeah, she's talking about the obedience of the Unsullied. They are obedient. That's all they do. And Dany's asking some very pointing questions.
She's like, and then what after? What about after? Like when they don't really have to follow me anymore, what are they gonna do?
Yeah,
I think that's a good point too, because like if she really plans on freeing them, like what if one of them's just like, fuck this whole deal, like fuck all these masters, I'm gonna kill her too, type of thing.
You mean like, what do you mean? After like, so they win the war, she has the throne. Once one of these
Unsullied gets freed, what's stopping them from like going on a mission of being like on a vendetta of all masters and killing her too? Like even though she got freed, she's still in a position of power, type of thing.
I think it was more of like, what if somebody bought them after I freed them?
Yeah, that's where she leads to, but she does cover what the stuff that Jeff's saying. At first, she's like, so I take them, we go, we win the war. After we won the war, half my army, I'll say like, okay, go back to your families. What do I tell the Unsullied to do?
Yeah, like
they don't have any families.
And to a point, like they're obedient as a slave. Like, what if they're like, there should be a question like, I'm about to free them. What if they take their spear and just, what if all 8,600 just say like, nah, fuck this, I'm not fighting, like walk away?
I don't think they know what freedom is at this point though, right? Like I think they're so indoctrinated, and whatever that drug is they're on, like they don't seem to have any idea what's going on.
I don't know if they're
dude, we'll get to it, but there's the part where like the one guy dies literally at their feet, and she's like, they didn't even look down. They didn't even like, they were just standing there. Like
he was like their master, their trainer. Yeah, didn't even care.
I mean, you think about what they've done to get to that point. I do get it. Like they're emotionless, right? They've killed a baby from their mom. Like they've done some weird ass shit to be where they are. But I would say that's definitely, like, if your plan is to free them, that should be a worry. Like what do they do once they're free? Versus,
I don't think you're wrong, especially like if you like, so you just got the throne, then you free everyone. It's like some of those guys might not like how you treated them.
I'm not even saying they choose to fight for her.
What do you mean? Like,
why would they? They don't have to fight for her once they're freed.
And she doesn't care.
Saying that they have to go across the sea with them to fight.
I don't think she even was that. Like, I don't think she was that worried about that, right?
Why wouldn't you be? You're about to free them.
I don't know.
Because she's just trying to free slaves, man.
There's nothing saying that they're going to fight for her.
I know.
I guess she hasn't done them any wrong yet. And to the other point, like, do they even like really care about the wrong that has been done them? Like, I don't know. So we'll get there.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm just saying, like, she has no clue. She's obviously asking these questions about him because she has no clue. So how does she know that they're going to fight for him? Like, I don't understand why I'm getting so much.
I'm just confused because you're saying she freed him. Like, she frees her here, and she does shout freedom later on. But
exactly.
Like, there's never
what are you talking about? She frees them all.
Yeah, she frees them for sure. She throws the whip to the side and says, "We'll get there. Can we get there?" Like,
yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna get there,
like,
but like
we're way too far ahead.
In that moment, like when she yells freedom,
I'm not that far ahead. I'm in the same conversation that we're in.
I know, but I think there's. I know, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I think there's more information later in the chapter, and if we get there, yeah,
okay. We'll keep moving.
I don't know if Nelson read the chapter the way he's answering. All right, so she's like, they're going to be great guards afterwards, and you can even sell them if you want to. And if you're scared about them, just tell them to kill themselves, and they'll kill themselves. Again, at that point, I don't know why. Like, if they're going to get a taste of freedom, being just, let's say they do fight, and they're just a free soldier. Like, they're going to go out and drink a beer every night. Like, they might start enjoying life post being an Astapor Unsullied.
I mean,
slave.
I feel like that's kind of the rest of this conversation, though, is that her saying, like, these guys know one thing and one thing only. And doesn't matter what state they're in.
But they know them now. Like
you say that, but like, what they don't know anything else.
But
so
they're
after
about
they're
to.
free,
they are about to get freed. That's something completely
But freedom
new.
to them does not mean the same thing to you.
Yeah, I think they never tasted it. I don't.
No, I think what Kyle's saying. I think what Kyle's saying, and I partially agree with it. Like most slaves, yes, but the Unsullied are different. Like they're literally being drugged from childhood. Like, I don't know if it's like if you stop giving them that juice, if all of a sudden like they slowly come back to normal. Like, that's not how to your point, Jeff, we don't know. And it might be like that. And like after a year of not drinking that juice and being free.
Moving on. All right. The last part is Missandei has 3 brothers that are unsullied.
So the point here, right, at the end of that conversation with Missandei that we Jeff skipped over, was she's like, so what happens if when I'm done, like I conquer Westeros, what happens if I free them? Could they be used against me? Is there anything stopping them from attacking a former master?
Yeah, exactly. She's finding out stuff for her plan later on by saying about herself.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what Dany was driving at this whole conversation, because it even says 100%. Like when she gets there, it says like Dany asked pointedly.
Well, it's like, how obedient are they? Will they listen to every fucking thing I say? Yes. Like, will they ever hurt me? Well, if somebody else said to, yes.
But like, again, that's as the master, as the whip holder.
Yeah.
She's tossing the whip away at the end of this.
No, Jeff, we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about like this is just 100% foreshadowing the end of the chapter.
Understood.
Right?
Understood. But as Missandei is answering, she's answering as them still being bought slaves.
Yeah, agreed.
So what I'm saying, it's a little bit different when she throws the whip away.
No, I'm saying we're not talking about that. We're not in that argument anymore.
It's still part of this argument, though.
Okay.
Like, she's going to free them. So, like,
no, I just don't know what you're saying.
I don't know. I don't know how else to say it. So,
okay.
Move on.
Okay.
So she reluctantly says, like, they can kill themselves. And she's like, well, why are you so reluctant? Like, why? You seem to care about these guys, right? And she says, like you said, Jeff, 3 of them were my brother once. Yeah,
and I think it's interesting that she says were, right? Again, because Jeff, I'm not trying to just ignore this conversation. I think it's an interesting conversation. Even Missandei saying were as if like they're not men
gone
anymore.
now.
Like,
sure,
she even says like, "Could I sell them like men?" And Missandei's like, "They're not men. They were my brothers. They're not even my brothers anymore."
And I'm just gonna say one more time, as they're continually trained to be this zombie-ish type of person, Dany obviously isn't going to continue that deal. So
100%.
And there's how many that still need to be trained.
And to your point, Missandei doesn't know that right here, right? So Missandei, when she's saying they're not men, she could be thinking that Dany's going to do
which is the point of Missandei saying, like if you resell them, they're going to listen to that person.
Yeah.
And that's the only point I was trying to say, is that like...
I think we see it the same. I think the only question is, we agree that Dany's not going to keep doing this shit to them. The only question I still have is like, is irreparable damage done? And I think...
Maybe. All right, but here's the other part of it. Sure,
so,
fine.
I think
chalk up the 8,600 as we shake their head. There's still 5,000 more that they're going to train.
Yeah.
That they're not going to do the same training to. So
that's true.
So
that's true.
Let's...
But they're not unsullied. They're not the same warriors.
Hold on. No, hold on. The point that Jeff's making is, if you freed them, could one of them just go and kill you tomorrow? And the boy that was cut yesterday, who's only been drinking the wine shit for a few days... It applies to him, at least.
You think that guy's going to get through Jorah and all them? Anybody could kill her.
Why not? If she's like walking up and down the army, she could just like up and down the ranks, she could just stab.
That could happen in public.
Chalk up the 8,600. Fine. The kids are going to they're going to have freedom and know what it's a little bit like, right? So I'm off the topic, but I don't know why.
Well, to that point, the one thing is that about the freedom thing that I was wondering is, and I didn't think we'd actually talk about this here because I didn't think it was clear that she had freed all the Unsullied, which is kind of why I was skirting around it at the beginning. I don't think it's a spoiler per se, but I didn't think it was clear. She does yell freedom at the end, but she's a lot more explicit with Missandei. She's like, you can just fuck off if you want. And to your point, if she gives that exact same offer to the Unsullied, I bet you a lot of those 5,000 do fuck off, right? At least like half of them.
Yeah, why would they kill her? They have no reason to kill her, is the other side of it.
But Jeff's point is they could. Once
so could fucking anybody.
His point is it's a risk freeing them and not a risk to keep them the way they are, because they can't do that if they're not free. I think it was, again, we're way off from where the conversation started.
I mean,
but
Belwas could just kill her. Like, she doesn't know who he is. Like, I don't know what you're saying. Like, anybody could literally just kill her at any point in time. Like,
I don't even remember exactly. Stop. I don't even remember exactly where this argument started, but I think it was around the point of like, is it a good idea to just free them all right away? And Jeff was saying no, because you don't know what they're gonna do.
That was my whole point. Like, she's actually asking all these questions because she has no clue about them and how they're going to react or respond to anything. And her first thing she does is free them and possibly, because she doesn't know anything about them, lose control of them. That's what I'm saying.
Like, freeing this entire army is almost as risky as the slavers selling the entire army, right? Because now you have no control, right? And again, it's a really fucked up way to say that you do have control when they're your slaves, and by freeing them, you don't have control anymore. And I think we're all in agreement, even Jeff, that there's not really a reason that they would attack Dany. The point is they could, in the same way that they're attacking the Masters now.
And the other part is they say, like, no, actually, I'm done fighting. And just put down your spear and walk away. And
exactly, right? And that's what I'm saying. I think that's way more likely. If she gives that, and again, we don't know how this is going to be offered today.
That was probably more my point than saying, like, yeah, they could kill Dany. Like, what if they just say, like, nope, I don't want to fight? And I get it. Fine. Maybe these 8,600 are zombies and they're just like, no, I fight, and that's it. There's a lot more. There's more people there. And
I guess what I'm trying to say is I think Dany is looking at this and she's sure it's great that 8,600 people are going to fight for her, but she's also freeing a city of slaves. So she doesn't care if those guys come with her because she is doing her mission of freeing a city of slaves.
Even to that point, agreed. And I would just say that you should just put off freeing them like an hour, at least until like... Again, I don't think there's a risk of them like really not like doing what she says here. But like, if you're taking her yelling freedom, it's her freeing them. It's kind of confusing on why they do listen to her. But yeah.
All right. So she gets back to the ship. She feeds the dragons. Then she has a good little cry by herself. And then the ship captain. This all happens pretty quickly, so I'm just going to rattle through it. And we spent way too much time going in circles. She argued with the ship captain. The dude's like, "No, come on, these are Illyrios. Like, you need these ships." She's basically like, no, fuck off. We don't need the ships because I need this army. Get away from me. And then she meets with the Blood Riders and Jorah, probably going over the plan.
For sure. Yeah, so this is because she says something about like these are the only people she trusted.
Yeah. I must have misread that. I thought it sounded like she called them all down to guard her door, and I was like, why would she call all four of them to guard her door? But I guess that makes sense.
It was so. This was some of the foreshadowing, right? Same as I see. Like, I need the Unsullied more than I need these ships, and I will hear no more about it. Like, to me, that is her saying, like, I need the Unsullied for my plan right now. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
that's why I don't think she's worried about if they came with her across the sea or not. Yes, she did. She can't have them defending the city. She needs to. Her sole focus right here is getting rid of the slave city. In my opinion, that's what I like. She seems hyper.
Well, why is it so? If she's not going to take the Unsullied, why is it so important to just because of her mission?
Because she was a slave and she has seen these other slaves, like we've seen her do this. And this is, like I said, this is why I guessed that was what she was about to do, because that's just who she is, right? That seems like a main motivator for her.
Yeah, I didn't see this that much, like the way that Kyle's seeing it, but now like kind of thinking back on like a little bit of the last chapter, I see it, right?
She's like, this is awful. This is horrible. Look at this awful shit that's happening. The city is bricks and blood. Like, everything here is terrible. This place is fucking evil.
Yeah.
And do you think it's a bigger motivator than her getting west and earning the
100%? Currently, yes. Today, yes.
And I agree, just because at the end of that chapter, right, what does she say? She says, she gets mad at Jorah saying, I have no choice. Now I have to buy these Unsullied.
Exactly.
And to Jeff's point, I never really saw it this way until Kyle was saying it like that, but like, she doesn't have to get them to take Westeros. There's probably other ways to get Westeros.
She has dragons.
Yeah, the only thing that would require her to like 100% need to take the Unsullied is trying to take the city. So,
like I said, this is just my interpretation of it. Is just her like so disgusted and appalled by this place that she has to be the one to do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Again, I never really saw it that way. I always thought that like the main motivator was Westeros, and like, yes, freeing the slaves was like a very good secondary accomplishment, but like not like the goal. But yeah, I think especially the way the last chapter ends, the last Dany chapter, where she's like, now I have to do this. I think that's her, to your point, like saying like, after I saw all this shit, Jorah, after you. Yeah, I'm more obligated. Yeah, I can't say no. Exactly.
So she tried to go to bed, walks by, somebody restringing their bow, somebody sharpening their sword for, a little event that we're going to see a little later, right? I was like, oh, nudge, nudge, right?
Getting ready.
But just keep doing what you're doing. She went up to the deck. Jorah plays the creep again.
Yeah, he's
knows her all too well.
He's creep, like peeping Tom in the window.
Shows up, touches her hair.
She liked it.
It was weird.
We get the story about, we just kind of hit on it all, how it's from World Code, but the slave girl, Iroha,
I think so. Yep. Kyle, did you remember the slave girl?
I mean, I didn't remember her name, but I mean, this was when Miri Mazdor. Is that accurate?
Yeah, one of those slaves.
Somebody else?
One of the other slaves she saved from me. Yeah. She's like, they were raping her, but I stopped them and took her under my protection. Only when my sun and stars was dead, Mago took her back and used her again and killed her. Ago said it was her fate. I remember, said Jorah. I was alone for a long time, Jorah, all alone but for my brother. I was such a small, scared thing. Viserys should have protected me, but instead he hurt me and scared me worse. He shouldn't have done that. He wasn't just my brother. He was my king. Why do the gods make kings and queens if not to protect the ones who can't protect themselves? Some kings make themselves. Robert did. He was no true king, Dany said scornfully. He did no justice. Justice. That's what kings are for. So, to Kyle's point again, like, this is just Dany being like, I can't leave this place. If I'm going to call myself a queen, I can't just let this injustice happen, knowing that I have a way to stop it and keep going.
Yeah, no, I think this is the biggest point of what Kyle was saying. Like, and like the kings not protecting those who can't protect themselves and like doing justice. That's kind of become her, almost like her leadership credo, right? Like, I'm going to protect them.
Which, right? Like, she seems currently like she'd be an okay queen in Westeros.
Yeah.
Like, she seems like she'd be better than the current situation from what we know.
Let's circle back to that at the end of the chapter.
Okay.
So then she goes to bed.
She goes to bed. She has a dream of her being Rhaegar. She's on the Trident, but instead of riding a horse, she's riding a dragon, and she melts down Robert's army that was covered in ice.
They were all armored in ice.
Yeah.
Which is callback, right? Didn't we talk about this with Melisandre and Davos with the fire and ice, and we talked about the Iceman up north. We like to mention these parallels.
No,
was all.
This is a big others parallel, right? Yeah. They literally wear ice armor.
And then she wakes? ?
Quaithe.
Does she wake to Quaithe?
She woke in the darkness, but like nobody else is like awake. Like she's yelling at nobody. Like she yells to Irri and Jiku who are in bed next to her, but they don't wake up. So yeah, like maybe not awake, still dreaming type thing. Yeah.
Well, my book had another weird typo in it right here. It says she woke suddenly in the darkness of her cabin. What's that?
No, I saw another weird word too. It said football. Did anybody else?
Yeah, that's what this one is. Yeah,
football.
That's what this one is. Still flushed with triumph, Balerion seemed to wake with her, and she heard the faint creak of wood, water lapping against the hull, a football on the deck above her head, and something else. But it's a footfall, is what it was supposed to be, like a footstep.
I was like, what the fuck's a football?
Damn, a football hit the deck upstairs.
Autocorrect really fucked George on that
Dude,
one.
That's
so
an autocorrect one. I'm like, all right, Game of Thrones word. They got their own football.
So it sounds like there's actually like stuff going on the ship. Like people are walking around and stuff, but no.
Yeah. So yeah, shit's going on. But then Quaithe is standing on top of her, and not on top, like bedside over her. Which reminds me, I told you guys of my freshman year sleepwalking, right? You
basically woke up your roommate staring straight at him.
Like over top of him, staring straight ahead of the
wall. It's like the sleep paralysis demon as well.
We didn't room together the rest of college.
Yeah, he dropped out the next day.
But anyway, so we get the poem, Nell, so I know you want to read it, so go ahead.
Remember, to the north, you must journey south. To reach the west, you must go east. To go forward, you must go back. And to touch the light, you must pass beneath the shadow. Quaithe, Dany sprung from the bed and threw open the door. Pale yellow lantern light flooded the cabin, and Irri and Jiku sat up sleepily. Khaleesi?
Yep.
So, really weird. This was what Quaithe, which is like the weird lady who just kind of ran into her.
Wait, yeah.
Who brought her to Karth and then ran into her in the street, just for the fans. Who
went the fire ladder scene, right?
Yeah, she basically started talking to Dany when the fire ladder was happening. She's like, ooh, they will come because people lust for dragons. Dragons are power. Dragons are fire. Fire is power, something like that. But yeah, she also says this exact same thing to Dany at that time. Here, again, we don't even know if it's really her, if it's a dream, like what's going on. We just get that, right? Like,
what I was going to say earlier is like, she seemed too weird and too important to just have that one little kind of weird, strange interaction in Carthene or whatever.
Yeah.
Karth. Is it Karth?
Karth and Karth is the type of people.
Yeah.
The Carthene live in Karth.
Yes, yeah. But so I mean, it makes sense that she's back to me, at least.
Is she back or is this a dream? Like Dany, like kind of the just point.
I know, but I mean, I guess yes and no, though, right? Like we've seen some weird shit kind of going down here lately. I feel like this will seem too real. Like she doesn't know that lady, and then the whole warlock thing over there. I don't know. I'm willing to buy that it was this lady kind of projecting into her to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a magical world, right? So Like, who knows what's going on?
And we know dreams are definitely one of the more magic-y things with what's going on with Bran.
Yeah, at least she's projecting what she actually already have seen and heard from Quathy. So, like, at least it could be kind of a memory being projected. But
yeah, it doesn't really matter either way. Yeah,
it's a prediction of sorts, and it's kind of because I want that to be how it goes, right? I kind of want to see more about this lady. Want to.
It would be weird if that was the one comment about her, right?
Yeah, she just showed up that one time in Karth and never again.
Yeah, which I mean, I wouldn't put it past him.
Little red herring, is that what that was called?
Yeah, red herring. Yep.
Any thoughts on like what she's saying here? Because like, to your point, if this is more than just like a dream, and this is somehow like her like trying to like make Dany actually remember this, which it starts off by saying remember, like why is this important to go north? You must journey south to go west.
You're asking questions east. That I don't fucking know, and Dany doesn't even know the answer to.
I feel obligated to ask. You're the first time reader.
Yeah. Like that one, I have no idea, none. Maybe there's something east she needs to get. Is the only thing I can really think of, but
because she's actually trying to go west.
So we finally get back into Astapor the next morning, and we mentioned she's dressed in her Dothraki garb, and she's taking everybody with her this time.
Yep. One other thing, when she's walking through the gate, she says a little quote we haven't heard in a while. If I look back, I'm lost.
Mm-hmm.
I think like she was like thinking this a lot in the chapter where she's about to walk onto the fire to like burn Drogo, hatch dragons.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was during the walk through the Undying too.
It might be there too. I feel like it's a lot when she's doing like
high stress.
I thought it was always with the. I thought it was a lot more with the Undying than it was walking into the fire. But I'm not gonna lay on my sword.
I mean that makes sense. There's a great website called A Search of Ice and Fire, but you can pick what's books and type in a word or phrase, and it'll search for it in those books and tell you all the occurrences. That is weird. It's actually not in there at all, Jeff.
It's not in the Undying?
No, it's all in 9 and 10 of Drogo. Not Drogo, but 9 and 10 of Dany in Game of Thrones, which is before she burns Drogo and hatches dragons.
I thought maybe she was muttering something different to her while she was doing that whole deal.
She's probably just whispering to herself, second door on the left, or whatever it was. Always down, second door on the left.
So we mentioned this too. The streets are lined. Maybe we didn't mention it, but everyone's out there to see the dragon, right? Everyone's amazed by it, just like Karth.
Yep. Did you mention they braided her hair, put a bell in it?
I did not say that, no.
I thought she had a bell.
We talked about this in the last chapter, that she like shook her head out of a daydream and the bell rang. And I was wondering, I think we actually talked about it. One of you guys was right. I think I was saying the other way. One of you guys said, is it only one bell?
Yeah.
And I said I thought it was multiple.
This is one bell, right? Because she took down the House of the Undying.
Yeah, I think that's a cool quote. Whose chimes sang of the Undying of Karth burn in their palace of dust. So it is like
a bell per sack type of thing.
I think what I was saying last chapter was like as your hair gets longer, just as long as you haven't been defeated,
more and more bells.
You just get more and more bells as like you live longer, even if you're not really doing anything.
Maybe there's like little bells for winning one-on-ones.
This one seems like, well, yeah, she says it's a tiny one, so maybe she doesn't take it as a big victory. She also said that she had said to herself at one point that it was Drogon's victory, not hers, because she didn't do anything.
And it wasn't all of Karth; it was just the House of the Undying.
I took that as a actual little foreshadow because I was like, maybe next Dany chapter she'll have 2 bells.
Yeah,
maybe.
I was like, is she gonna take this as a big old bell? She'll have a cowbell dangling from the end.
Church bell.
Yeah. So the dragons are exposed as they walk through the street, but they're all chained.
Yep. Viserion and Rhaegal too, a little antsy.
They all acted differently, right?
Yeah, they're all acting differently, and Drogon even seems to know what's up. He's just curled in a ball, like just hanging out.
Drogon's just chilling.
His eyes open, but he's just curled in a ball.
It reminds me of Charizard.
Yeah. And he just fucks Ash
Charizard
up.
just sat down and was like, fuck it.
Well, that was going to be my point, right? Like, even on a chain, like, a tiger on a chain, like, what do you, like, you holding that chain doesn't do shit. Like, it actually makes you, like, target number 1, right? Like, you're always in range. I don't understand, like, why they thought, oh, we'll just chain him up and then I just get to hold this chain and everything will be good. Like, I don't know. It seems like the worst idea. A cage would have been more appropriate.
Yeah, they should have had better demands for the hand over here.
Yeah. So they're walking to a different plaza this time. The Plaza of Pride wasn't big enough for all of the men she was buying, so they're heading to the Plaza of Punishment, and this is where they would beat bad unsullied and then hang them if need be and
torture and stuff. One thing before we get there, they walk by a river called the Worm, and then there's like small islands in it. I just think there's a cool quote. Dany sees like children playing, and she sees two naked lovers kissing, and she says that because they were naked, she couldn't tell if they were slaver or yeah, exactly.
Well, I thought it was the more interesting quote was before that, with no more shame than Dothraki at a wedding, which we just had a big discussion, I feel like, on the last chapter or something about this.
Yeah. Wildlings banging it out like dolphin, in hell.
Yep. So yeah, they're the Plaza of Punishment bad there. Missandei says that basically, so they have this big like stage pretty much set up where they're doing all this hanging and torturing and racking and stuff. And Missandei says it's so that all the slaves it's the first thing that any slave who comes into Aspor sees. And this just like gives me like the abandon all hope ye who enter here vibes, right? Which is like the famous phrase from Dante Inferno that's above the gates of hell.
I was thinking of Pirates of the Caribbean, of the sign over the gallows.
That's probably inspired by the same thing. It's a really famous.
I forget what the words are though. It was like "Pirates ye the warning" type thing. But
yeah, on the sign on the hanged one's neck. Yeah, it's just like you're fucked. Like life is horrible for you. I think they actually had something similar at Auschwitz, like a similar saying over the gates of Auschwitz. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, but I don't. It's not even like you're fucked. It's like just this is what happens if you try anything. So know your place. You're fucked. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It means you're fucked.
And there's just no hope, right? Like
yes, yeah. Don't have any hope. Don't think about it. Don't even try, because like. She eventually realizes that these guys aren't striped skin. Their skin is just missing, and they're covered in flies and maggots.
Yeah, they have strips peeled.
Yeah, it's gross.
And the strips that are missing are just covered in black flies. But like to the no hope thing, like we didn't mention it, but like when they give Missandei to Dany says like she didn't even, there was like no emotion on her face, and she's not an Unsullied drinking this potion. She just like, who cares? One slaver, another slaver. Yeah. I'm just a slave. Who cares who holds the whip, right?
Well, it's probably not the first time she's been given to somebody.
Yeah, exactly. So they come out, they do the whole thing. She goes, sees them. They got all the slavers. There's even more. There's like some audience slavers watching too. She calls for all the goods to be brought out.
A lot of goods, man. I to be honest, I skipped over that whole paragraph. I'm not reading that list of shit.
I read it, but I didn't bring it as a quote.
6 bales of tiger skins, 300 bolts of fine soap, jars of saffron, jars of myrrh, jars of pepper and curry and cardamom, an onyx mask, 12 jade monkeys, casks of ink in red and black and green, a box of rare black amethyst, a box of pearls, a cask of pitted olives stuffed with maggots. What the fuck? Yeah,
I was gonna say I like olives, but I like them pitted with like blue cheese.
Yeah, I didn't get that one. A dozen casks of pickled cavefish, a great brass gong and a hammer to beat it with, 17 ivory eyes, and a huge chest full of books written in tongues that Dany could not read, and more and more and more. Her people stacked it before all the slavers. And it wasn't even everything. They left like some amber and stuff and rice and like, yeah, they're like, the boats are yours, which is like kind of like, why'd you bring
anything? Like you get your people to move this shit.
Yeah, you got slaves.
Especially like, I'm wondering like, are we not making...
I was gonna say, are they just gonna put it back on the boats? But
I'm guessing you might have to
room for these guys.
Now, yeah.
If I knew what I was about to do, there's no way I'm hauling this shit off the ships.
Just throw it in the water at the worst. Yeah.
Yeah. So
they're like, all right, all that's left is the dragon.
Well, before that, the dude Kraz gives Missandei advice to Dany.
That's true. That's a good point.
And that's like, tell the Westerosi whore to get the green. This group's pretty green, so go get them bloodied. Go sack a town over and keep whatever you want. Like all the fortunes, and Sully won't want them. And then
you should blood them early, like within the next 10 minutes, type thing.
Yeah,
I don't think that's what they were thinking.
That's not what he meant for sure.
Great advice, Kraz.
Yeah, but I think it was interesting. Like, yeah, they won't take any. They won't loot at all. Like it's all gonna be yours. And if you do find new slaves, like bring them back. We'll train them.
Send them our way.
Your next group.
We'll buy them. Yeah,
this guy's not reading the room very well.
But yeah, then it's Drogon. It's dragon time.
Dany unchains him, hands it over in trade for this whip, which is kind of badass. It was black dragon bone, fancily carved and laid with gold. It had 9 long, thin leather lashes, each tipped in a gilded claw. The pommel was a gold woman's head with pointed ivory teeth. And they called it the Harpy's Fingers.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I think the whole like Harpy logo is just pretty sweet too. Like,
except for the slavery.
I'm just saying, like the logo, like
yeah.
It's like me with the Flayed Men logo, and then you find out that the Boltons are actually cutting people up and
awful.
raping people and all that stuff.
Is this the first flayed man we've seen? This was pretty much what this is, right? A flayed man. The skin's peeled off. I mean,
they even say they flay him here, so yeah. He's flayed,
striped flayed.
Yeah. So she's about to get. She gets on her horse and she starts riding him on the front ranks, showing them the whip, and she's yelling out some stuff like, "Look at me, I'm in charge."
What she's doing here is she's assuming command of the army, right? And making sure that the army knows, like, I'm in charge. You just saw that you're bought. The transaction is complete. Like, you're mine now.
Yeah.
You're the dragons now.
Because she's about to pop everything off.
But as she gets on her horse and she's riding and yelling, she's speaking in High Valyrian. And this is the big reveal. And only the old pointed Grasden hears it because everybody else is so focused on Drogon and how cool he is.
Yeah, exactly.
They all got a boner over the dragon, yeah.
Yep.
And then once she's done riding around, maybe she's still on the horse, but she sees Krass is having trouble, and she's like, "Yo, what's going on? Like he's
you're in difficulty."
Yeah.
He's like, "He's not going to come. There's a reason. A dragon is no slave." And then she whips him in
pretty
the
much.
face.
Here's the big old big old fuck you, buddy. Did he have a fucked up face already? I forget.
No, but he doesn't. No.
Okay. Well, he's dead at the end of this.
He's dead pretty quick. His face is melting off.
But then the dragons come and attack him again though later.
What? Just one more burn, just for.
Yeah, but why?
For good.
What is that noise, Jeff? When I read this, maybe I've seen the show too many times. When I read this, when she says Drogon, Dracarys, I just hear that like noise that. You know what I'm talking about? It's not him screaming. It's like a almost. I have no idea what it is. Like the noise that plays right before. It's part of the song.
It's part of the score, right?
It's part of the score. Yeah, it's like right before Drogon actually breathes flame in the show.
That's a good question.
I'll play it right now on the podcast.
Yeah.
Whatever that noise is, dude. When I read this, I just.
I do know what you're talking about. I don't know what makes it though. So Drogon's melting this dude's face off. They let the other two dragons off their chains then, which makes me think Jiri and Equi are on this deal too. Like they're the ones that
hang on. Don't skip the melting his face. Like if we're gonna read a quote, that was the quote to read.
Yeah,
right?
You're right.
The lance of swirling dark flame took Krasnus full in the face. His eyes melted and ran down his cheeks, and the oil in his hair and beard burst so fiercely into fire that for an instant the slaver wore a burning crown twice as tall as his head. The sudden stench of charred meat overwhelmed even his perfume, and his wail seemed to drown all other sound.
Yep.
Like he just fucking cooks. Like it's like open the.
That's a way to Valar Morghulis for sure.
Yeah, Valar Morghulis. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, like I said, they open the Ark of the Covenant. The Nazi dude looks in, and it just
this is what's that one called? Yeah, the Ark of Lost Ark.
Lost Ark.
Is that the
Raiders
first
of the
one?
Lost Ark.
Yeah, that is that dude. Yeah, that dude's eyes.
So the Blood Riders are also attacking.
Yeah, they're all so ill prepared without these Unsullied, which is the conversation we had last time. It's insane, right?
Yeah. And to Jeff's point, Eerie and Jeekly must have been on it. They got the memo somewhere because they let him go.
Yeah, they had some pillow talk.
Or they maybe they're just.
Do you think they're
not
free balling
stupid?
and they're like, oh, let's let these dragons off too?
I mean, if you're them, what are you doing at this point?
Just chilling. I mean, you're handmade. What do you mean?
I don't know. I might be pulling that pin after you just saw Danny command Drogon to roast him. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. They're probably in on it.
I wouldn't be mad if they were like, yeah, let's get into this. Like, let's let these,
yeah, exactly.
let these
That's how
babies
they got
loose.
in.
I just don't think.
Yeah, I doubt Danny would have had that.
They had some pillow talk, and they're like, hey, by the way, we're gonna burn this motherfucking city to the ground tomorrow.
Well, they're probably part of that meeting, right, with the Blood Riders.
With the Blood Riders.
Yeah.
I would think so, or later,
or
like
at least
when
in a room,
laying in bed.
Yeah.
So Grasden, old man Grasden, who heard her speak High Valyrian, tries to get the Unsullied one last ditch effort. He takes an arrow to the mouth.
Yeah. Oh, I think before that she goes over, like you said, the Blood Riders are joining in. Ricaro's slicing people up. Aggo sat calmly notching arrows to his bowstring and sending them at Tokars. Silver, gold, or plain, he cared nothing for the fringe. Just like Aggo doesn't care if you're rich or poor, like they all die the same.
Yeah, exactly. And they're just currently taking out all the slave traders. Everybody that's standing in these pyramids, they're not even part of this situation currently, right?
Yep. Yeah.
These are just bystanders, but they're all still assholes.
Yeah. And Belwas is getting involved.
Yeah.
Boy, he's swinging his Arak out there.
Old Gazdan yells about spears. Unsullied, defend us, stop them, defend your master, speared swords. But then, like you said, Ricaro puts an arrow through his mouth. Yep. And everybody that was holding him is like, "Yep, I'm fucking out." Like,
because he was he was being held up in like a sedan chair. Yeah,
I'm out. The Unsullied didn't even care. This is where we went through that. So like,
didn't flinch.
Yeah.
The old man crawled to the first rank of eunuchs, his blood pooling on the bricks. The Unsullied did not so much as look down to watch him die. Rank on rank on rank they stood and did not move. The gods have heard my prayer. So Danny's like, fuck, yes, it worked. Thank God they didn't try and stop me.
Yeah. That would have been the only thing, right? Exactly. Is if they broke whatever obedience they said to have.
Nerd moment, Jeff. How do you say Unsullied in Valyrian?
Ethergazy. Something like that. I was close.
I think it's Dovagades is how I would say it.
Dovagades.
I think you're close. I think that's pretty close. I'm not even sure if I'm right. I've just seen the show too many times. And I know that's what she yells something like that. Yeah. So that's what Danny yells when she... Again, it's funny because in the show she starts in Valyrian. Maybe... Oh, no, she does finish in Valyrian. It's all subtitled.
She holds the whip up. She's just standing there. The dude's got Drogon. Drogon's like flapping around above him.
Yeah. Here, he's not even coming off the thing.
And she's just like, Dovagezi! Step left, step right. Kill them all. Dracarys.
Yeah, what she says here is, slay the good masters, slay the soldiers, slay every man who wears a tokar or holds a whip, but harm no child under 12, and strike the chains off every slave you see. She raised the harpy's fingers in the air, and then she flung the scourge aside. Freedom, she sang out. Dracarys, 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 they shouted back, the sweetest word she'd ever heard. Dracarys, Dracarys. And all around them the slavers ran and sobbed and begged and died. And the dusty air was filled with spears and fire.
What does Dracarys mean again? I know it's the command for Drogon to fire, but what is like? Am I supposed to know what it means?
Translation? I don't.
Dragon.
I don't.
It means dragon fire. And then Jorah asked her why she picked it, and she's like, "I just wanted something that people weren't likely to just say by accident."
Yeah.
It's kind of badass though. She's got this entire army of like over 10,000, right? 13,000 people chanting dragon fire as the dragons are lighting up the city.
So back to your other thing though of just trying to move this along. It is getting long. The she doesn't explicitly free them, but she does, right? Like the whip is the symbol.
The whip is the symbol, and she's the owner of it, and she tosses it down.
And she even says like such a light item to carry such weight, right? Like this controls the army, and then. I don't know. You're right. It doesn't explicitly say it, but...
I want to make one more comment about this then, too. What if they're trained, if they are so zombie-minded, right, and they only follow the whip person, she tosses the whip down, and because no one's holding the whip, they just stand there and die because they have no mind at all to do anything.
Or Missandei, because she's like one of the only the people who's not getting killed. She like picks it up.
Kill everybody else.
Yeah. I'm in charge. Kill them all.
Or she just runs with the whip, and they all just run out behind her and disappear into the desert.
They should have at least snapped this thing, or had Drogon burn it, or like just throwing it down's risky.
And I think she does say something. She says it more in the show. She explains like. I don't know. We don't have to. It's obviously different, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and we might get into some of this like next time again. Like I'm sure, like I didn't even want to mention that they were freeing the Unsullied because I didn't know if it was explicit.
It's not explicit, but that was where I was at.
I think it was obvious, like to Kyle's point, like that's why she's here type thing. But I thought that would be a topic for next time, so we'll leave that one for next time.
All right, Kyle. What does she do next? Now she's maybe a freed or dead asked for, depending on who you are. She's got everything she came with. Maybe she has some people following her. What's next?
I mean, I think you get back on the boat. I don't know. Try and start sailing back to Illyrio and maybe take over some of him. But I honestly like this. We have so little information about this region. Like they could be right next to some city that has the best swords in the world. Like. I don't know.
They're in a place that's nicknamed Slaver's Bay, right?
Okay, so maybe she goes around and frees the rest of the slaves. If, like I said, that's the kind of context that helps guide my decisions. Like I said, that seems to be her objective one currently, because she doesn't have the army to take on Westeros still. So
I was gonna say maybe the opposite. Like this is like the biggest come up we've ever seen, at least in a single chapter. Danny went from having 84 Unsullied and 3 crew. like the crew of 3 ships.
84 Dothraki.
84 Dothraki and the crew of 3 ships to 13,600 plus, maybe unsullied, and maybe not all unsullied, but you know what I mean.
You call it 8,000 unsullied.
10,000 unsullied, we'll call it.
Yeah, you're right. That's still not enough though to take Westeros.
She got some dragons too. I mean, her dragons are small. But...
I mean, what did the North have? 20,000 men?
Yeah, but so like an external fort, nothing brings somebody to get like warring people together better than an external force, right? Like, so
yeah, and I think that was someone made that point too. Like, you can't show up with them. I think Jorah said it.
It's kind of like if the White Walkers showed up, right? Like, or whatever is up north. The others,
White Walkers are showing up, but no one's caring.
They aren't though. They're not over the wall yet, right? Like, so once they become a real,
still not real.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all we got for this one. We'll see the rest. We'll see Kyle on the next one for Sansa. Yeah, Sansa 3. And we'll see the rest of you guys in the spoiler section. Thanks for listening. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a review if you're on one of those things. And
later, nerds.
Later. Bye.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle.
See you on the next one for Sansa 3. Now, on to the spoiler section for Dany 3. What we got, Jeff?
All right, so I'm going to put the least one out there, and it's actually in one of the last lines of the chapter. I will read said line to you all right now.
Support.
Dracarys, they shouted back, the sweetest word she'd ever heard.
Glow. Sweet
Glow,
call out.
What do you think about that one?
Not going to be so sweet when it's all raining down on King's Landing. And everyone over 12 in King's Landing.
Or is it sweet, too, because she's going to learn the power of... Maybe, I mean, that's kind of hand in hand. Like, it's going to become too powerful, and she's going to go crazy with the Dracarys power. In a long-term play. But...
So, again, before I feel like even in this podcast, I've kind of said that I feel like this chapter specifically is like a good piece of evidence for Mad Queen Dany actually burning King's Landing at the end of the day. And I think to Kyle's point...
Kyle's like, yo, she's going to be a great queen.
And yeah, and I said we were going to circle back on that, and we never did. And what I was going to say is she literally orders the execution of everyone over 12 in the city.
Yeah, I was going to mention, too, like, sucks if you just turned 13.
Yeah, I mean, there have to be some good people, right? Like,
yeah.
Maybe not. I get that they do try and, like, he does portray Astapor as, like, a horrible, hellish place. But, like, is it really only slave owners and slaves? There's no just, like, middle-class people who are getting killed? You know what?
Doesn't
and again,
sound
maybe we're not supposed to think about that, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
maybe it's like Aragorn's tax policy, but...
That's the only mention of people here is either you have a slave, and like maybe there's a middle class where you only have one slave. Like
it's to the point of like
there was no untokard people, right? Or they were chained. Like I don't know. Maybe I don't. It doesn't really matter.
Well, I guess there's no way to like be a good slave owner. And I hate saying but because when I say but, it just makes me feel like I'm contradicting myself. Like I do think that there is actually a way to be a good slave owner.
Anything after but is a lot. Is
horseshit.
Right?
It's horseshit. Yeah. But like a lot of our like founding fathers owned slaves, right? And again, that aspect of them wasn't great and was horrible. But like there was a lot of maybe good aspects of them too. Do they all deserve outright murder for?
Well, here's the thing, and this kind of goes into what is the point of her doing this, right? What's the overall plan of killing all the masters? Like, she's trying to. We end up learning she's trying to set a new regime, right? Kind of.
Well, it's almost. I feel like, and kind of to your point, you kind of like hinted at. You didn't hint at it, but you with your comment about Slaver's Bay, Kyle put together like she might go on like
she might continue on to free the other ones.
And I kind of feel like this is almost like, and I guess I was gonna say, it's almost like the Goldilocks story, right? Where Astapor is the try one, way too hot. Yeah, Dany comes in too hot. She goes to Astapor, tries it a different way. That one doesn't work either. And then by the time she gets to Meereen, she's heard that the situation in Astapor and Yunkai are horrible. Like they're really, really bad. We get a Quentin chapter later where he has been through Astapor after Dany. And he literally says the streets are just rivers of corpses. Like,
yeah,
Dany just fucked the city and left. So again, kind of back to what I was originally saying. I had my original thoughts that this was kind of like a good like foreshadowing that Dany might be Mad Queen. But now I'm kind of thinking that she does have good intentions. She just doesn't know how to get it done. This was the first attempt. She goes to Young Guy, gets another attempt. That one doesn't go well either. She goes to Marine and is like, you know what? You can't just like completely change the status quo and then fuck off. You have to rule it. And that's what she's trying to do there.
That's my kind of point of her drawing the line in the sand at 12, is that she kind of believes that I think in her mind, she's like, if I just get rid of everybody over 12, those are the people that have the belief that having slaves is okay, which is kind of a weird line to draw, right? Like, a 12-year-old, what difference between 12 and 13?
You're pointing out the fact that, like, it's harder to change someone's mindset once they're, like, stuck in their ways.
I think that's the point of her not killing the master's kids that are under 12, is that they're kids. They can be shaped into this new regime of whatever it is. I mean, I don't think she hangs around long enough to really build a regime. She's just kind of giving it over to the slaves, right?
Yeah.
Which is why it's kind of anarchy, in a way. But then you still have these harpies around that are like, oh no, we are going back to the old way type of thing. So like, she just didn't really think it all through.
Yeah, she didn't think about the like what happens next thing. She's like, oh, I free the slaves, but then what happens next?
Yeah. So all right, but it is. It's the only suite of the chapter, and it's a pretty big thing that she does with just having Dracarys and whatnot. So if there's anything to suite, that's pretty large.
While we were just talking about it, one of the things that I said, and I kind of brought it up, like when Kraz gives her advice at the end, he's like, hey, blood them early. I thought that was funny because I think that is an intentional by George, like, hey, they're about to get blood on you like in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, they're going to kill you.
But the other thing that I think you were kind of hinting at in the non-spoiler was he says, hey, there's a lot of cities nearby, like on the way that are ripe for sacking. And where does Dany go? She goes to the 2 next door cities and sacks them. Right? Like that's what she does. So he kind of does give her that advice of like, hey, here's what's going to happen next. And that is what happens next.
Yeah. So I think the next 2 points are in the same like 2 paragraphs, and it's her dream sequence. I don't have anything other than the dream sequence. So
yep, let's do it. I actually didn't have in his notes because there's not much to say, but we should bring it up at least.
Yeah,
the first one. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean the first one is her as Rhaegar, which is a little weird.
So she's had her visions of herself as Rhaegar before, right? And I think this is because like the last dragon type thing. Also, I think like she has, I think before, and I've hinted this to you. I feel like I was a little more radical on some of my theories in the way I would push them earlier when we were younger in the podcast. But I feel like I had said I was pushing on Dany was Rhaegar's son.
What? Well, son is a little bit
a daughter. Dany is Rhaegar's daughter.
I thought that's where you were going to go with her seeing, because it's a little bit of flashback. It's a little bit of
every time she sees herself as Rhaegar, it makes me think that like dream wise, it makes more sense that he's her, like you're getting dreams about your dad, not about like your brother. Like why about one brother, not the other brother type. But
I think it's super curious of why is it Rhaegar?
I think it also could just be though, and I think what the accepted thing would be is everyone says Rhaegar was the last dragon. Dany is saying, "Fuck no, you forgot about me," type thing. Like I am the last dragon, and
I just don't understand why it wouldn't be her in the dream. Why it's Rhaegar? I get what you're saying.
Well, she dreams she was Rhaegar. Right? At first she thinks, again, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell.
No, I get that she dreams that she is Rhaegar. I don't interpret that as saying I'm Dany, I'm the last dragon when you're dreaming of Rhaegar.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's weird. Like it's hard to tell because it's a dream, right? Like, is it like Dany's watching from above and it's Rhaegar riding on a horse, and then all of a sudden that turns into her riding on a horse, and then the horse turns into a dragon? Like, is it that, or is it like first person? It's hard to explain. Like,
and I'm just like too. Like, is it a flashback and the future in the same thing? Like, we know that Rhaegar and Bobby met on the Trident, but the next time she meets on the Trident, I don't know when it'll be, and is it going to be her versus an other, right? Because they're covered in ice. So like.
That's interesting. I didn't actually think about the Trident part of it, but like I think there are theories that where the last battle between the others and like the world of men will take place is the God's Eye, right? Because that's like the green seer magic-y place, which is like it's near the Trident.
Does that mean they lose Winterfell? They lose the North?
Yeah, that would imply that they've lost the North if they got that
far. So I thought the Rhaegar, her dreaming that Rhaegar is kind of riding a dragon was curious.
I think that's definitely, if anything, that's a Dany is Azor Ahai hinting. But to your point, like I think the Dany is Nisa is better.
I think the Quaithe part is Azor Ahai a little bit more.
Yeah, so Quaithe, again, the weird thing about Quaithe is she literally, so Kyle's on it too. Like Kyle's pretty right. She is like, again, we don't 100% know, but that's the accepted theory. She somehow, I think we do know. I think in Dance of Dragons, she like straight up is like there walking around and Dany sees her, and then it turns out it's just a dream. So yeah, I think Kyle's 100% on it, where she's like sending herself to Dany.
This is dragon glass shit, right? Or what's it called?
Glass candle.
Glass candle.
The question that I have is, so I guess the first thing is, Quaithe seemingly shows up, says one thing, and then fucks off in this dream. And the one thing she says is, go north, you must go south. To reach the west, you must go east. To go forward, you must go back. And to touch the light, you must pass beneath the shadow. Mm-hmm. But to your point on the other dream, was that dream because of Quaithe?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's on, like, Quaithe shows up on the heels of this other really weird dream about Rhaegar.
And I guess that's the question of what can the dream or glass candles do? Can you project just into somebody's mind in a dream, or do you get full Bloodraven control of said dream?
Yeah, exactly. Like we know how Bloodraven can do shit with dreams, but he doesn't have it. Doesn't seem like he's using a glass candle. That seems, is it different? Like we don't know. But yeah, so like to go east, you must go west thing. Again, kind of it makes sense for. I think some of this is going to be weird. I don't know how George is going to resolve it, because I think originally George did intend for Dany to actually go to Asshai at some point.
Yeah. And
if she doesn't, then this whole... So, again, there's also a lot of stuff in Fire and Blood that hints that the world is round, right? Like, there's a person who sailed west. I think it was Alyssa Farman. She sails west over... Again, Arya says no one's ever sailed west. Yes, they have. I think Alyssa Farman did. And then Corlys Velaryon, when he goes on all these 9 voyages before House of the Dragon takes place, Corlys has gone on all these epic voyages, which is why... in House of the Dragon, his like hall of all those like all that there's all that like fancy stuff in there. It's all this stuff he got on these voyages. Well, once he went to Asshai, and when he was in Asshai, I think he swore he saw Alyssa Velaryon's ship, which implied he went to Asshai from the east. And the last we heard of Alyssa Velaryon is she sailed west to see what was west of Westeros, and we never heard of her again. But Corlys saw her ship in Asshai, right, which implies the world is round. So this whole like to go west, you must go east. A lot of fans for a really long time thought this was Dany literally getting advice. You have to go to Asshai. She'll go to Asshai, see some crazy shit, learn some crazy shit, and then keep going.
And then just go east to go end up at the Iron Islands type of shit.
Exactly. Yeah, type thing. And that's how she would just get to Westeros. Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, I'll just kind of give George like kind of an easy way out. Like, it's just kind of saying you can maybe interpret it as like just do the opposite of whatever you're thinking. Right, if you really want to go north, go south. All right, like if you say like I don't know, if you really want to kill this person, let them live, type of thing. Like I don't know, like everything is just an opposite type of deal. It's just a way out for George, like to not actually, because she's not going to go south.
Well, I'm trying to think like, well, how does that relate to this chapter? And it kind of does. Like, what to your point, like, what does she want? She wants to go take over Westeros. Does overthrowing the city really help that at all? No. Is it the opposite? Not really. But like then to the last part, like to touch the light, you must pass beneath the shadow. Is that like a little bit of to be the king, you have to get your hands dirty sometimes?
Yeah.
And I'll just like, kind of say in her resolve to go forward with the Unsullied thing.
Like I don't remember exactly why she says like, oh, let's just free every slave. Like if she's just like, fuck it, let's just free every slave on the way to Illyrio's, but at some point she's making the change where like, okay, I can't just free them, right? Like I need to learn how to govern. Her thing might be like go west just to take over the throne. She's not ready to take the throne yet, so I need to learn how to rule. So that's kind of opposite. Doing what she's about to embark on is kind of, in a way, doing the opposite of what her actual goal is. We've hit on that a bunch. So
yeah,
just kind of the interpreted way of not physically actually going south and east to get on the throne. But
yeah, and again, I don't think there's too much more to talk about for Quaithe. Just I think the interesting thing is now that she's actually visiting via dreams, right? Because she doesn't say anything new. what she says here is the exact same thing she said before. So like,
yeah. And that's why I kind of fought on the side of like maybe it truly was a dream because it's something that it's not like it's. I mean, not saying that you can't have a dream of something that actually didn't happen, but at least you have that
memory dream type
memory
thing.
in your I'm just excited to read more about Quaithe because I definitely the first time through like read over even who Quaithe was, and then when she popped up, I'm like, who the fuck is that? Like, I don't even know who that is. Like, just kept reading with like any clue of who she was. So
yep. I do have one more thing, and it was I wrote it down while we were talking there because Kyle was kind of saying that like actually I thought about it when I was reading that quote when Dany and Jorah are up on the boat, and she basically says, "You remember Aroa?
Yeah,
like I have to do what are kings for if not to do justice." And it just reminds me of Stannis, right? Like later on in this book, basically what's going to happen is Davos and Mel combined, I guess, convince Stannis like you need to go north, right?
Yeah, it's the real fight.
And Stannis has this awesome quote. Let me find it. So Stannis has this quote saying, "I was trying to win the throne to save the kingdom when I should have been trying to save the kingdom to win the throne," which I think is just one of the greatest Stannis quotes ever, right? Like Stannis is all about duty, all about honor, and he's like, I deserve it, which you can see a guy who's like that locked into duty and honor would take that mindset. Like the most important thing is that the rules are followed, and the rules are that I get to sit in that chair.
Yeah.
But he comes around to the way to do it is not just to stamp your foot and say, this is how it should be. It's to prove why it should be you.
Prove you're actually worthy of it.
And what do kings do? Kings do justice, which is what Dany's saying here. Kings and queens do justice. And again, what Dany's doing here isn't going to win her. Like, it's not quite the same, right? Dany's not saving Westeros from slavery. But she's doing what is right. And I think there is something to be said. And by just doing what is right, I would hope, maybe I'm a romantic, but hopefully if you just do what is right enough, you kind of get the Ned Stark treatment where people who never met you meet you for the first time and be like, this is a good person. If Dany can do enough good in Essos, maybe that happens in Westeros where she shows up and they're like, you know what? We've heard nothing but good things. I don't see that going that way because everything we hear of Dany in Dance of Dragons is pretty much spewed from Cersei, like, oh, there's a foreign invader. Maybe this is me thinking show stuff, but I assume it's going to go very similarly. Like, people aren't going to be welcoming Dany with open arms because she freed slaves in Essos. Like, I don't think they're going to care.
Right.
But it definitely gives Stannis vibes there. And again, Stannis isn't always the greatest guy, but that quote that he has is one of the best. I think one of the best quotes of the
Stannis
book,
is actually the prince that was promised, but he loses.
It's like putting the cart before the horse in like grand scale, right?
Yeah, I mean, what would he have done though? Like how would he have saved the kingdom?
He stops the wildlings. He literally saves. Like Jon is going to try and kill Mance.
Well, he saves before he actually goes north. Though, like let's say he knows that this revelation before he actually starts his campaign. Like how, and it's just a real hypothetical. Like, what does he actually do in the South instead of just calling Joffrey a bastard and calling war on the Lannisters? What would he have done to
your point too? Like, I don't even know what call for aid Stannis actually answers. He might honestly answer a call for aid against the wildlings because when he shows up, that's what he saves them from is the wildlings, not the others. But I don't remember actually exactly. I mean,
do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
you're saying, like, if he would have known about it earlier, would he have done the same thing?
Well before the North is like, hey, we need help with the wildlings, and it's just the war for the the war of the Five Kings.
Okay.
Before he writes the letter that Joffrey's a bastard, like if he's truly just gonna try to save, how does he save the kingdom?
Well, you can't save the kingdom if there's no enemy to save, like external enemy. At that point, you got to save it from Joffrey, right?
Right. So how does he do that? Like, what is he?
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. Other than what he did of like saying he's a bastard and like trying to get people on his side, like what's he actually doing? Yeah,
you're right. That like he didn't really have a course of act. There was no way for him to try and save the kingdom in order to win the throne.
Yeah,
there just wasn't an opportunity until they learned about whatever's going on up north.
Yeah. All right, let's look it off.
Yeah. So last one for me. That was it. So we'll see you guys on the next one. We'll see you guys on the next one for Stanza 3. She gets married. Another great episode.
Yeah. Episode?
Chapter. It'll be a great episode.
It will be a great episode.
All right, we'll see you guys there. Bye-bye.
Bye.